What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format action. Before I get into it, reminder for all of you that it is PWCQ Saturday. There was a big tournament here hosted by the lovely folks over at GOATformat.com. Winner, or maybe even top two, depending on how many people signed up for the tournament, get invites to the World Championships this coming fall. So definitely check that one out. One of the biggest tournaments of the year for GOAT format. Some really cool competitors coming out there, so definitely worth a look. Back to the Duelingbook GOAT format ladder, though. Today's feature match, we've got Mexican Stallion versus Vive Cristo. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the ladder, and specifically today, I believe, at least at the time this match was played, Mexican Stallion was actually the number one player on the GOAT format ladder, and Vive Cristo here was at least top 20, probably top 10. So these are two of the absolute highest rated players on the ladder, likely playing some very competitive decks. So excited to see what both players are cooking and excited to see some solid gameplay. Let's hop right into it. Looks like Vive Cristo won that RPS. They will be going first. They're going to lead out with a Thunder Dragon. So, top of the ladder, definitely expect to see a lot of chaos stuff up there. So no surprise to see Vive Cristo rocking those TDs. Gonna grab... Ooh, looks like they opened double Thunder Dragon, though, so a little bit of a low roll here on the Chaos strategy. So they're gonna have two dead Thunder Dragons in hand, just thinning the deck for one, not going up any cards. So Mexican Stallion off to a pretty solid advantage just from a bad opening hand from Vive Cristo. Their plan is just going to be T-set pass, so at least they have some opening here, but definitely want to find a way to cash in those Thunder Dragons soon. Otherwise, this is a pretty solid advantage here for the red player. Mexican Stallion gonna get to their main phase one. Gonna lead out with a Tribe Infecting Virus. Okay. And then we're going to set a back row, attack in. So I guess potentially if it's Morphing Jar, you at least want to make sure you're going even on cards with the opponent. Tribe will go beat in. This is quite good if it is exactly Gravekeeper Spy, because Spy is mandatory, right? So Vive Cristo would have to summon out another Gravekeeper monster if they have one in deck, likely another copy of Spy. And then both could be killed by the Tribe in main phase 2. So Mexican Stallion going for that play here. It's also fine if it's like a Decoichi or something. Tribe will just beat over it, and you get to apply some pressure. So, best case scenario, you're killing off some spies here pretty freely. Worst case scenario is you probably get hit with like a Night Assailant or something, and that's not the end of the world. But let's see. Looks like Vive Cristo has the Spy. Yeah, so the Spies are going to come out here. Does Vive have, they really need potentially a Raigeki break or a Ring of Destruction here in the end of battle phase before Mexican Stallion can go to main phase 2 and blow up their spies. But let's see if they have any interaction here. No, we're just going to go straight to main phase 2. We're going to get Tribe, discard Sinister Serpent, so getting the free plus there. Really nice play, going for this Tribe, banking on Vive having the Gravekeeper Spies, which they did, and they have the Sinister Serpent to just get the free discard, wipe the board, and now Mexican Stallion getting a pretty solid punishment here on Vive Cristo opening double TD, and now they have a threat on board to clock the opponent as well, so really, really solid start here for the Stallion. Vive Cristo, of course, not out of it just yet, but just decently far behind. Gonna go set a monster and set another back row pass, so trying to wall out this Tribe. Something like I said before, Night Assailant would be decent. Vive Cristo, well, both players here. Turbo till proven otherwise, right? Mexican Stallion, let's see. Gonna draw for turn, grab that Sinister. No Dust Shoot out of Vive Cristo. We're gonna go set a back row. So really worried about Morphing Jar here. I mean, I guess you don't lose too much. Green Kappa goes crazy, but probably not that. Oh, Vive Cristo has a Magic Cylinder. So are they potentially playing... Surely they're not playing Chaos Burn, right? The Hawk 2 patented strategy. Maybe, though. Magic Cylinder is going to come through to negate the attack, so Vive Cristo prioritizing keeping whatever monster this is on the field. And Mexican Stallion will get burned for 16. But this is going up another card here, so you're still grinding the opponent down. Oh, and we've got Abyss Soldier here in main phase 2, so Mexican Stallion may be rocking a little bit of GOAT control action, perhaps? Tribe, Sinister, Abyss Soldier has a really nice combo here, and you can just go main phase 2. Yeah, Sinister, of course, the perfect card to combo with both of these monsters. And you can go main phase 2, Abyss Soldier, bounce the set monster, and that's a massive, massive tempo swing. Vive Cristo made it pretty clear that they value the set monster by the fact that they magic cylinder to protect it. So bouncing it is going to be a pretty big win here, I think, for the Stallion. Yep. Bouncing it pass. Really, really massive tempo win there. Vive Cristo, it's going from bad to worse. You're bleeding cards. You open double Thunder Dragon. Your opponent has achieved the Sinister plus Abyss combo. Not looking great. See, though, still have a bunch of cards, but it's getting harder and harder over time. Okay, we're actually going to go set a back row and then go for card destruction. So setting something that they wanted to keep. Now, importantly for Mexican Stallion, this doesn't have to be a real back row, right? It could just be a spell that Vivo Cristo wanted to save. So it could be like a Snatch Steal, could be almost anything, right? Doesn't have to be a real back row. Card destruction is going to come out, though. Good to use it when the Sinister Serpent is already in the grave, so Mexican Stallion won't get the extra advantage off of that. And you hit double Magician of Faith, which is actually kind of fine if you're Mexican Stallion, because you have no spells in your grave. Maybe you have some set, but as of right now, you're pretty happy about this. Viva Crystal, let's see what they're... I guess we know they have at least double Thunder Dragon in hand, so by that, by that measure, this is a pretty good card destruction. They're going to go minus here. Ooh, and a Magician of Faith of their own with no really high power spells besides this card destruction. I think that makes sense. So Viva Cristo bleeding another card here to cash in these Thunder Dragons. Kind of have to, especially when you're this far behind. And you have to really answer at least one of these monsters, otherwise the Sinister Serpent is just going to continue to go crazy. So we're going to get to draw 3 new cards, see if they found anything good. We're going to go set a monster, set a back row pass. Monster could meet its demise or at least get bounced from this Abyss Soldier, though. So ideally, Viva Cristo found like a ring or something to deal with the Abyss Soldier before the effect can come through. Let's see exactly what Stallion's going to do. Going to grab that Sinister. Playing into Dust Shoot, notably, but Viva Cristo likely not rocking that if they're playing some weird sort of like burn strategy. Okay, and yeah, so as I mentioned, we're going to get Standby Phase Ring of Destruction, likely on this Abyss Soldier, to break up this Serpent plus Abyss combo. Burn both players for 1800 as well, which is a solid chunk of damage if Vive Cristo is on more of a dedicated burn strategy. And so you at least broken up that very powerful combo. Tribe is still sticking around with the Sinister in hand, though, which could continue to do a lot of damage. Ooh, and then Mexican Stallion, yeah, so definitely playing at least Goat Control, probably not Chaos Control, because you're likely not running Abyss Soldier in that deck. They generally don't have room for stuff like that. So it's going to be set the Sinister, use it as free tribute fodder for the Metamorphosis, go into Thousand Eyes Restrict, suck in this set monster. We'll see what it is. They steal a Death Koala. Okay, yeah, so Vive Cristo must just be rocking a little bit of Chaos Burn. Pretty cool. Not something that you see every day, especially out of players that are not exactly Hakuji. But Thousand Eyes is going to come out here, prevent that Koala from resolving. Still a 0/0 Thousand Eyes, though, so not going to be able to pressure Vive's life. Which might be a little bit rough, because if they are rocking a burn strategy, you need to kill them soon before they just draw a bunch of burn cards. But at least you dealt with one of them in the form of Koala here. Gonna pass, though. Vive gets a chance, kind of a stalemate here at the moment. Let's see what the play is. We're just gonna go set a monster pass. Sure. Mexican Stallion, Tsukuyomi would be pretty solid here. Recur that Serpent. Gonna go MST on your own Death Koala equipped to the Thousand Eyes so that you can free up the equipped spot to steal this set monster. Not a bad play. Suck it in, and it is another Death Koala. Okay, so Vive playing at least 2 copies of that Koala. I wonder if this is just like fully the Hakuji list. Pretty much looks like it's... Actually, no, I'm not sure if the other list runs Magic Cylinder. I'd have to check. Okay, and then Mexican Stallion smartly recognizing that they need to start actually doing damage to the opponent, otherwise Cristo's just going to draw a bunch of burn cards, right? So we're going to get main phase 1, Tribe Infecting Virus, calling Spellcaster to kill the Thousand Eyes. You get the free discard at least with the Sinister Serpent, but most importantly, this frees up your tribe to start attacking in. And we'll get in for 16. Not the strongest clock, but it is a clock, which is very important against burn, or burn-adjacent strategies. Gonna pass turn there. Vive has Ojama Trio, so maybe going for big damage here. Trio is, of course, not that great into Tribe Infecting Virus, because it can just go ahead and pop all 3 of those. But actually 900 damage at this point is kind of a big deal. And if Vivo Cristo has maybe like a Gyakugiri Panda or something, this could be pretty nice. Just Desserts would make this pretty solid. And you can squeeze either of those things in before Stallion gets the chance to use the tribe. So maybe going for a little bit of a mini combo here this turn to poke through a bunch of damage. And we're going to go Heavy Storm. Okay. Thinking on summon. All right. We're going to Torrential on the summon to wipe the board, prevent Panda, prevent Just Desserts from coming through. This will burn Stallion for 900 from all of the tokens dying, and they will kill their own tribe, but it will turn off all of the potential 1-2 combos with the trio. So valuing their life points over their Tribe Infecting Virus and their Torrential Tribute, I think makes sense. But potential opening here for Viva Cristo to make a move. They're going to still activate this Pro Set Heavy Storm, clear out the remaining back row for Mexican Stallion, which is Ring of Destruction. And now, like, I don't know, Injection Fairy Lily is potentially game. Black Luster Soldier plus, like, normal summon any monster is game. Let's see what the play is. Pot of Greed. Okay, so clearing out the back row before they go into pot. And then just going to T-set pass. That's a little bit interesting. You'd think you would want to save the Heavy Storm for a little bit more of an aggressive play here. So just throwing it out. I mean, I guess the idea was you wanted to get it 2-for-1. But then because you showed it before giving Mexican Stallion the ability to, or the opportunity to activate the Torrential after the trio resolution, maybe they just figured, okay, they know Heavy Storm is here anyway, so the best I'm going to get for it is a 1-for-1. Which is a little bit unfortunate, but, you know, important to give your opponent the opportunity to respond to things like card advantage summons and all that, or card activations and summons and things like that. So getting a little bit punished for getting a little bit ahead of their skis there. And then Vive is just going to go ahead and T-set pass. But actually, card advantage-wise, because they forced out that Torrential, which is very card advantage negative for Mexican Stallion, Vive Cristos actually found themselves in a decent spot. They were lucky enough to also find Pot of Greed, which is pretty solid. But considering they opened double Thunder Dragon and then went minus a couple times since then, the fact that they're pretty much equal on cards is pretty nice. And they only have 3,300 more damage to get through here on Mexican Stallion's side. On this likely GOAT control list, I wonder if Stallion has enough kind of aggression here to kill them, to kill their opponent before just the burn cards come through. Stallion, though, going to draw for turn. Not grabbing Sinister Serpent, so choosing to play around Dust Shoot. And we're going to go normal summon DD Warrior Lady, attack in, set a back row in case it's Morphing Jar. Definitely a card that these burn decks could play. And it is the last remaining Gravekeeper Spy. So interesting choice here for Mexican Stallion if they want to banish the Spy to get it out of the way. I guess probably... I mean, unless you have another out to this Spy, that's probably a good idea. Because you're just going to have to do it later, right? But actually, no, they're just going to take the 500, and yeah, okay, so they are going to banish it, yeah. If that's your only out to Spy, that is totally fine. It's card advantage neutral because this Spy has no targets left in deck, so that's totally fine as well. And at least now, you know your opponent does not have any Spies left to wall you out in the future, which is pretty valuable. And then we're going to get main phase 2 Swords of Revealing Light. So unfortunately here, Mexican Stallion, playing a little bit of a slower deck, right? Go Control, it's got Control right in the name. And that is generally a pretty good matchup for these burn strategies, even though it's not pure burn out of Vive Cristo. The fact that Stallion's deck is built to stall a little bit here actually very much favors the burn player, so they can just draw into their burn cards. We get End Phase Jar of Greed out of Cristo. I guess that's fine. I don't think you really need to do it here in End Phase. Oh, I guess this back row was set this turn, right? Pre-attack into the Spy. So I guess this does play around potential Royal Decree, which is something GOAT control lists do often run. So yeah, I guess probably smart to activate End Phase Decree, or End Phase Jar to play around potential Decree. Now let's see, with a couple new cards, we're going to go T-set pass again. Vive Cristo's favorite play so far this game for sure. Just trying to find this last 2,800 damage. They won't be able to attack for it for the next few turns unless they find it out to Swords. But they probably have more copies of Ojama Trio. We haven't seen any Just Desserts yet. We haven't seen any Secret Barrels yet. So just trying to build up to a point where they can sneak in these last few points of damage. Stallion here now can grab the Serpent, playing around Dust Shoot, or no longer needing to play around Dust Shoot because they're only at 2 cards in hand. It's going to set a back row pass, leave the Serpent in hand. don't really need to set it to potentially run it into a Nobleman of Crossout because the swords is protecting you, so I don't hate that. And it would make like potential top deck Graceful Charity a lot stronger, so definitely a play that I think makes sense. Christo here, let's see, we're going to go set a back row pass, not flipping up their monster. Now, if it is a Desk Koala, if you're running the triple Koala, you probably don't flip it up here because it's only dealing 400 damage and you can't even attack with it. So honestly, this set monster could be a lot of things except for like probably a Morphing Jar will just flip 100 times out of 100 there. But like you could potentially hold Cyber Jar until you find an out to swords. Although Cyber Jar could just find you an out to swords, so maybe Cyber Jar probably flips there as well. But Koala doesn't have to flip. Other kind of flip monsters don't necessarily have to flip there. I mean, Faith probably flips because you want to go Faith into pot. But like something like Sangan wouldn't flip, I guess, right? Because you're not going to be able to attack with it. We're going to get End-Phase Call of the Haunted Deer out of Stallion. Is the plan to go for Abyss Soldier? That's probably correct. You can go into the Abyss Soldier. You have the Serpent in hand to bounce the monster, start applying a clock. So looking to get aggressive here, if they can. And that will resolve. Okay, so now we can go straight to main phase 1. Abyss Soldier, discard the Serpent for free. Bounce the set monster. Cool. Ooh, and then clearing the way for a Pot of Greed as well. So really nice play there. Gonna get an extra 2 cards. Set a back row. Now, at this point where your opponent does not have any Morphing Jar set, you don't really need to be setting back row before attacking, but I guess it's fine. We're going to get in for 18 here, and this is actually a nice 3-turn clock with the Soldier. 1800 attack is nothing to scoff at, and the fact that you can bounce your opponent's monster every turn by recurring the Sinister is pretty nice. And yeah, I mean, I think you definitely want to set this back row eventually in like main phase 2, so that way you can grab Serpent next turn without playing into Dust Shoot, because it would kind of suck if your Serpent got ripped away, because then it removes the combo with the Abyss Soldier. So I definitely like staying under 4 cards in hand. And honestly, kind of a moot point, really minute, really kind of insignificant in detail, but card gets set anyway, so I think that's fine. We'll get End Phase, Jar of Greed here as well, but playing around potential Royal Decree. Sure, Christo, 4 cards in hand, has this Abyss Soldier to deal with. It's going to set a monster and set their full hand here. I believe this is the last turn of Swords of Revealing Light, so they can start getting aggressive next turn if they have monsters in hand. But setting a bunch of things maybe has... I mean, Ring is gone, which is the most common quick effect answer to the Abyss Soldier, to prevent them from just bouncing your set monster again. Raigeki Break is turned off, right, because you have no cards in hand. Unless you want to go like Jar into Raigeki Break. That could be kind of cute. But I wonder if they have an out to this Abyss Soldier pre-main phase 1. Otherwise, they're going to get hit with another tempo loss here. But not sure what exactly it could be. Unless it's like I said, Jar into Raigeki Break, which would be kind of neat. Stallion here, yep, can grab the Sinister. Likely we'll see them. Okay, we're actually just going to go Exiled Force, kill the set monster, and then save the Sinister to bounce a back row, I guess is the idea. Vive is just going to ceasefire in response to probably the Exiled... Or actually, I guess Mexican Stallion would have Prio to use the Exiled Force effect, so it would already be in the grave by the time you could resolve the ceasefire. But this will be 1,000 damage, I guess, which is pretty nice. Drop Stallion down to 1,800. Sangan will get a search off. Not too bad. And Exile Force just kind of doesn't do too much here besides pave the way for Abyss Soldier to get in for a little bit more damage. Christo grabbing Cyber Jar off the Sangan, which is very scary if it's able to resolve. That will basically be GG. But Cyber Jar is unlikely to resolve if Stallion can keep this Abyss Soldier on the board. So Christo probably has to hope that they have some removal here for the Abyss. You know, Mirror Force is definitely a card that's still in the deck, so we could see that come through. Oh, we're going to get Graceful Charity. Wow, so they pro-set Graceful Charity to play around Dust Shoot? And I guess wait until they had... So that's why they went for the Exile this turn. Right, because they wanted to keep the Serpent in hand to go for the Graceful. Pretty risky pro-set Graceful there, though. Luckily not punished for it, but that could have been a little bit scary if Viva Crystro was running Mystical Space Typhoon or anything like that. Luckily for Stallion, though, it will be able to resolve. And I have the Serpent in hand to combo with it. So we're going to discard Serpent and then a creature swap. Just a standard card in these goat control lists. And now, because you've already dealt with this Sangan, Abyss Soldier can get in for 18, unless Christo has like a battle trap. Oh, and we're actually just going to slam BLS here. So playing into Torrential, which we haven't seen out of Christo. So could be an opportunity. Let's see if that gets used. No, looks like Christo does not have it. We're going to go to battle phase. Ooh, that does put an extra monster on the board, though, such that double Just Desserts is now lethal if Christo has it. Desserts plus Trio is also lethal. So let's see, is this just going to be enough? Yeah, double Just Desserts. So Stallion here getting a little bit, maybe too aggressive, going for the game shot here with the BLS, when Abyss Soldier on its own would have been a 2-turn clock. Yeah, and playing exactly into double Just Desserts when you hadn't seen any out of Christo just yet is a little bit risky, and they will get immediately punished for it, unless this back row is something. No, that's going to be game 1 to Christo, who looked to be in a pretty bad spot, right? Stallion established the Abyss Soldier plus Sinister Serpent combo. They had them down to a 2-turn clock, but played into exactly double Just Desserts to win the game. Yeah, because like Stallion could have slow rolled a little bit, could have just attacked with the Abyss Soldier. Next turn, Christo maybe sets the Cyber Jar and you bounce it with the Serpent plus Soldier combo, and then get in for game next turn. But instead, going for game shot here and running into the double Just Desserts. Risky play, getting punished. And Christo on Chaos Burn will take down game 1 against Mexican Stallion's Goat Control list. Probably favoring... This matchup does probably favor Vive Christo. To be fair, because like burn strategies are generally good against these more like obviously like Scapegoat decks. Scapegoat is very bad against Galkugiri Panda, and Just Desserts specifically also not great against like Secret Barrel. So we'll see if there's any side deck technology out of either of these players. I do know Chaos Burn decks will often, from the few times we've seen it here on this channel, they will generally like kind of side out of most of their burn cards and just side into more of a standard Chaos Turbo list post side. So we'll see if Stallion kind of anticipates that and either just sides like as if they were playing against Chaos Turbo, or if they will actually keep in a few or side in a few anti-burn cards. And if they do that, then Christo can punish them by not playing those, right? So very interesting kind of will they, won't they situation. And we'll see kind of who comes up on top in the side deck game. Stallion will be able to go first here in game 2 on this Goat Control list. They're going to lead out with just a set back row pass. Now, when you're playing against Goat Control or Chaos Control, and this is their opening move, it almost always screams Scapegoat. But, like I just said, Scapegoat is not the strongest card against burn strategies. But maybe Stallion anticipating that Christo is siding out of their burn stuff, and Scapegoat is actually good. We'll see, though. It definitely doesn't have to be Scapegoat, but it is kind of likely. Christo here opens Thunder Dragon. And also a reminder, they won last game after opening double Thunder Dragon. And so here they got off to already immediately a much stronger opening, having not opened double Thunder Dragon, just the single Thunder Dragon to get value out of it. So pretty solid start there. T-set pass is all good, has those 2 T-Drags in hand. Off to a nice little tempo lead. We'll see what Mexican Stallion can do. They're going to go Exiled Force, pop the set. It's a Gravekeeper Spy. Totally solid use of Exiled here. Removing a pretty aggressive option out of Vive Christo's board. It is still a tempo loss, but, still solid use of the Exiled. Gonna add another back row pass here. Vive Christo has to build again. Let's see. Gonna go set a monster, set a back row here again. So presenting basically the same exact problem to Stallion. They had to use an Exiled Force first turn, so maybe doesn't have Nobleman of Crossout or anything, because you probably use those before the Exiled. So we'll see if Stallion has any other set monster removal, or if this will be enough. We're going to get end-phase Scapegoat, so potentially setting up for a little bit of Scapegoat Metamorphosis stuff here. And so now you can see Stallion keeping the goats in post-side, saying, you know what, I bet you Christo is not going to be running the burn stuff. I'm just going to play as if I'm playing against Chaos Turbo, and keep in my normal value stuff. And we'll likely see the Scapegoat plus meta combo, or maybe Scapegoat plus creature swap combo come through here to deal with Christo's set here. Yeah, so goat tokens come out in the end phase, setting up for something. Ooh, but we're going to get immediate Trap Dust Shoot out of Vive Cristo here in post-draw, and they will get a nice little glimpse as to what Mexican Stallion's hand looks like, as will we. Ooh, so really interesting. So Mexican Stallion here, keeping in the scapegoats, but then siding in some anti-burn stuff in the form of Token Thanksgiving. Obviously quite good against Ojama Trio, even if you're not running Scapegoat. But as expected, they do have the Metamorphosis to combo here to deal with that set monster. Their hand is also Magician of Faith plus BLS, both cards that are not super live at the moment. So I wonder if you take out the Magician of Faith, right, because there's no light or dark engrave. The only light in hand is his Magician of Faith, so taking it back makes BLS worse as well. And Faith does have at least like decent, like I can always go regrab meta or something, or regrab Token Thanksgiving. Could be nice. So I think you probably send back the Magician of Faith here if you're Vive Cristo. Gonna send back the BLS though, so maybe just has the Nobleman of Crossout to deal with the Faith potentially. Just not kind of caring. Maybe they have mind control. Definitely could be possible. But yeah, BLS will get sent back. And now Vive Cristo knows, importantly, about Mirror Force. They know about Token Thanksgiving. And they know about Magician of Faith. And they know about this Metamorphosis that's probably about to come down. Yep. Going for the classic Scapegoat plus meta combo into Thousand Eyes Restrict. Going to attempt to seal this set monster. We'll see if Vive Cristo has any spot removal to prevent this. Or like a Book of Moon or something. Nope. Going to come through. And they saw a Sinister Serpent. So actually not the end of the world for Vive Cristo. Interesting that, well, I guess they led out with the Spy first. It got answered with Exiled. And then they went for a little bit more of a bait here next. So I wonder if Vive Cristo has maybe another valuable set monster in their hand that they wanted to, kind of bait for with the Sinister Serpent, perhaps. Stallion's going to follow up with this Token Thanksgiving, which will gain them a lot of life. This is 2,400 life here, eating the rest of your goat tokens, but it does prevent the... I mean, I guess you still have Magician of Faith, grab meta the Faith into another Thousand Eyes is a potential play, but that's a little bit less valuable than metaing a token. But long story short, seems like Stallion is going for a little bit of an anti-burn play here, even though Cristo hasn't shown them that they're actually playing their burn cards. So I wonder if this will end up being the right call, or if maybe they should hold their Token Thanksgiving for a later date and try and keep these Go tokens around and get more value out of them. That's not going to be what happens, though. Get to gain a bunch of life, well, which will make it harder for Vive Cristo to kill them, at least in the near term, right? We'll see if the negative in card advantage, though, is worth it. Gonna go set that likely Magician of Faith as well. I guess that has to be Magician of Faith, right? And then I guess that's held Mirror Force in hand. Sure. I like holding Mirror Force. I think is probably smart, because if you set it, your opponent's going to know exactly what it is and where it is. Whereas if you just wait a single turn, and you're at a lower of a risk of being attacked this turn because you have the Thousand Eyes on the field. So it's not like you need to set Mirror Force right now. And so you can generally afford in this sort of scenario to at least wait a turn, and then it's not 100% certain that your back row is Mirror Force. So I like the hold there for sure. Cristo here has Duo, so we're just going to fire off the Duo just for the 1-for-1, just to rip out the Mirror Force. That's kind of interesting. Sure. I guess that's fine. Maybe thinking, okay, there's no other time I'm really going to go for this Duo. Stallion's not going to go ever up to 2 cards in hand. I don't know. I feel like you could maybe hold the Duo here. That's probably... Yeah, I don't know. There is a chance that Stallion never gets up to 2 cards in hand, but that seems unlikely when they're playing like Goat Control and the board is kind of stalled out under 1,000 Eyes. But maybe if Cristo is going for a big push this right now, you want to just get this Mirror Force out of their hand before you have to worry about it. So if Cristo has an aggressive play, this could definitely make sense just to ensure that the Mirror Force won't kind of ruin their day. But no, it's just going to be set a monster, set a back row, pass. So yeah, maybe could have held the Duo. We'll see if it ends up coming back to bite them. But I guess you already are up some cards thanks to some of the suboptimal, usages of things by Stallion, like Scapegoat, Meta, Token Thanksgiving, all not very card advantage positive plays. So Cristo may be thinking, all right, I'll play it safe. I'll do a 1-for-1, but I'm simplifying the board state. I don't have Mirror Force to worry about anymore. Even if I'm not getting max value out of my Duo, maybe it's fine because I'm already in a solid position. We'll see if that holds true, though. Stallion here top deck's Premature Burial and can go grab an Exiled Force to likely just use to pop Christo's set monster. We'll see if this resolves. We're still thinking about it. We're going to chain Desert Sunlight. Oh, nice. Yeah, so Sunlight is a card that these Chaos Burn decks play. It is pretty nice, especially when you're running Jars. And we're actually going to go Sunlight here. Flip up the Faith to just grab Duo? That's a little interesting. Because Stallion has no cards in hand. And, I mean, I guess it makes Premature Unexiled a lot worse. Because now what are they going to do? Like tribute just to kill your face-up Faith? But now they could just leave the Exiled on field and hold it till later. I feel like you would rather wait and use the Sunlight in response to the Exiled effect, attempting to pop the Magician of Faith, right? Because then their Exiled would be back in grave. And yeah, your Faith would be dead, but like, who really cares about the Faith body? You know, you're staring down a 0/0 Thousand Eyes restrict, so keeping the body on board doesn't really do you anything. Unless maybe you have Tsukuyomi in hand. But this seems a little bit weird timing. I feel like unless you have like a very specific hand of cards, you probably just want to wait to do this in response to the Exiled effect, so that you can get rid of this. So kind of interesting timing there, especially just to get the Duo that you don't even really care about. Seems like kind of a waste. And yeah, like I said, now Stallion doesn't even need to go Exiled Force pop the Faith. So it's kind of a waste, right? Unless you really wanted to keep this body around. This would only make sense if you want to keep the body around. And then in that case, Stallion, unless you just think your opponent misplayed, could be like, huh, I wonder why my opponent really wants to keep this Magician of Faith body around. Is he running, like, Zaborg? Is he running Tsukuyomi, you know? And maybe in that case you actually still want to go force kill the Faith. You know what I mean? Maybe. We'll see what happens, though. Christo just going to set a back row pass. Yeah, so really interesting timing there. I could be missing something, guys. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think about that play, but I feel like that was a mistimed Desert Sunlight. Getting a little bit over-eager there to grab a Duo that just kind of doesn't do anything. And now Stallion knows about it, so it's a lot worse as well, because they can pretty easily play around it. Stallion not making any progress here, but honestly, stalling stuff out if Christo just sided into pure Chaos Turbo is actually good for the Go Control player, right? Because now you don't have to worry about them drawing burn cards, right? So these stalling situations actually kind of favor you as the more controlling player in the matchup. Stallion going to draw for turn, though. Still having this Exiled sticking around, which otherwise they would not have if Christo timed their things a little bit differently. He's going to set a back row pass. Still in a stalemate here with this Thousand Eyes, so not too much happening at the moment. We're going to get Jar of Greed out of Vive Christo. Ooh, and we're actually just going to Chain Decree to that. Wow, so Christo, game one was very, very judicious. Very on top of playing around potential Royal Decree out of Mexican Stallion and actually forgetting, I guess, to do it this time and then immediately getting punished by the Decree coming through for the clean +1 for Stallion. That has got to hurt if you're Vive Christo. Playing a little bit sloppy here, I think, in game two and getting punished for it a couple times in a position that was actually totally fine for them, I think. And slowly but surely, these unforced errors are kind of allowing Stallion back into this game. And Christo's just going to have to pass there. No Jar allowing them to draw. Stallion's going to go draw, normal summon Sangan pass. I guess that's fine. Yeah, no reason to give your opponent a Duo target, right? I think that's totally fine. Christo will draw the known Desert Sunlight for turn, which has no target, so kind of a brick there. And yeah, Stallion kind of in a stalemate here, but that's totally fine. All right, so they drew something that makes them want to go for Exiled Force. We're going to Exiled Force. Ooh, Exiled Force pop the Sangan. Okay, so going to grab another card. Maybe you can grab Tsukuyomi and start getting a little bit aggressive in terms of sucking in your opponent's board is the idea. Yeah, going to grab that Tsuk, establish the Thousand Eyes plus Tsukuyomi combo. Backed up by Royal Decree, so common outs to it like Raigeki Break or Ring of Destruction are turned off. So going for this little setup here. And reminder, if Vive Cristo just waited to use their Desert Sunlight till post Exiled Force activation, they wouldn't have had that exiled. They wouldn't have been able to tribute for their Sengan, grab the Tsukuyomi. Um, and yeah, now Cristo might just be getting punished big time here for allowing this to happen. Soup will come down, flip down the Thousand Eyes. Serpent will go to the grave, so Cristo will get that card back, which is kind of nice for them. But now you can start getting aggressive here now that you have this combo. Like I said, with Decree to protect it. Ooh, it also turns the Thousand Eyes off, so Stallion can then get access to their Magician of Faith with, honestly, not anything super amazing in grave to grab. Huh. I guess you can go like Premature for Sangan, maybe? You could go meta, you could grab Scapegoat, all things that don't really do too much, I don't think. So maybe not as strong of a play as I thought. I mean, it is nice to resolve a Magician of Faith any day of the week, of course. And this was the Magician of Faith that was kept off of the earlier Trap Dust shoot, by the way. Right. So this was actually known to Cristo. But yeah, not anything super strong to grab here. But at least you can then go like Flip Summon, Thousand Eyes, Steal the Faith, whatever you want to do, or just beat over it with the Tsukuyomi. Yeah, gonna grab that Premature. You could go like Premature Sangan here to start getting in more damage, right? You could like have Sangan kill the Faith, and then Faith plus Tsukuyomi get in for 14. It gets you a little bit more damage than just like Suk kill Faith, Faith get in for 3. You know what I mean? So maybe that's the play. Thinking here. Yeah, we're just gonna go just hit in for 300. Suk kill the Faith, get in for 3. Yeah, already a Light Engrave, so not really the end of the world. Cristo, you know, these Chaos Burn decks often don't play Night Assailant, so getting the Faith Engrave in that sense isn't really that big a deal. At least you get to chip in for a little bit of damage, and then main phase 2, you can still just go Flip Summon the Thousand Eyes, get the Floodgate effect back on the board. And Cristo hasn't shown that they have a way of dealing with this just yet, so now they have to find a way not only to deal with the Thousand Eyes, but also they can't just set stuff, because Thousand Eyes plus Tsukuyomi will continue to gain advantage for Stallion. So, interesting. Yeah, Cristo kind of slowly letting Stallion crawl their way back into this one. Cristo does have still quite a strong like amount of card advantage here. They get to regrab the Sinister as well now. So definitely still probably in a decently comfortable position. Just definitely still could have played this a little bit cleaner to make this a little bit less tricky. They can fire up this Delinquent Duo now, sure. That is one of the things that happened with Stallion's play, is that they did go up to 2 cards, or 2+ cards in hand to make the duo more alive. And it's funny that the duo that Stallion knew about got more value than the one that Cristo just fired off earlier that Stallion was not playing around. But let's see what the duo hits. It hits the Premature Burial. Okay, so not going to be able to get used. Faith Effect ended up just being not really that big a deal. I mean, I guess it helped insulate you from the duo, unless you really wanted to keep the Premature Burial. But going to discard Morphing Jar in hand here as well. Wow, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess Stallion already having used their normal summon for the turn to go for that Sangan play. Or no, they still had their... Oh, no, yeah, they normal summoned the Tsukuyomi. Right, so they couldn't have set the Morphing Jar. But they opted not to set the Morphing Jar either. When they didn't have that many cards in hand, they knew they were going to hit by duo, so which would make it not even something you care about. And Cristo's hand is just full, right? So, kind of interesting. I almost would have preferred going the Morphing Jar route, because I feel like that's a huge deal. Like, you didn't really need to clear this Faith out just yet. It wasn't really doing anything. So, interesting kind of prioritization here from Stallion. And now, I guess they're keeping the Tsukuyomi in hand, which is fine, right? It's a nice combo with the Thousand Eyes, but it is kind of fragile, especially when Cristo has so many cards in hand. So I feel like I would have rather tried to resolve this Morphing Jar and equalize the card advantage. I feel like might have been a stronger play. But, you know, Cristo hasn't really shown knock or anything yet, so maybe... But they also never knocked this known Magician of Faith. So Cristo maybe just doesn't have anything to do with set monsters here. So it makes it more likely the Morphing Jar is going to resolve. Yeah, so interestingly, not going for that play, prioritizing the Suk and Thousand Eyes loop. We'll see if that ends up being the right call, though. I'm not convinced. Christo here is going to go set a monster just in the way of this Thousand Eyes. I mean, I guess it could just be Sinister Serpent. And then it's like, okay, suck in my Sinister Serpent, keep a 0/0 Thousand Eyes, and like whatever. Although that's actually not that great, though, right? Because you can suck in the set, summon Sook to set it face down, and then get beaten for 11. You know what I mean? So, and also notably, Stallion, the Thousand Eyes makes it a little bit more awkward, but they do have Faith plus Sook in hand, right? Which they don't have any amazing targets right now, but that is something that Crystal will have to worry about down the line if they can't answer the Tsukuyomi. Like, you can't just answer the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Like, the Tsukuyomi is actually the highest prio answer here, unfortunately, for Christo, even if it doesn't get you out of the Floodgate effect. Because if you don't deal with the Sook, if you just deal with the Thousand Eyes, it actually turns on an even potentially stronger combo with the Faith plus Tsukuyomi. So, Christo in a pretty awkward spot here. And Stallion kind of pulling them in a bunch of different directions at once, despite the fact that they're like down some cards here, could be interesting. And honestly, maybe this Decree is actually just doing a ton of work, right? Maybe Vivier Christo's hand is just gummed up on trap cards, right? I feel like the Chaos Burn strategy is one that's even more reliant on traps than normal Chaos Turbo, probably. So this Decree potentially doing a lot of work. And maybe, although it looks like Christo is up some cards, they're really not until they can deal with that Decree. And so Stallion kind of maybe should recognize that and just try to push this issue before and out to their Decree is found. Let's see, though. Yeah, we're going to go Thousand Eyes, suck the set monster in. It is the Serpent, but Stallion has a clock here with the Tsukuyomi, so Christo does need to kind of just do something before they get whittled down forever. Interesting, they're going to go for Set Magician of Faith, so going for the really long con. Not going to be able to get in for any damage this turn, but next turn you can do a fun little Tsukuyomi, set down the Thousand Eyes, flip up the Faith, kind of like we saw last turn. So it reduces your clock, but it does allow you to sneak in a Faith flip every couple cycles, which honestly is maybe fine, despite the fact that your targets aren't that strong. So I don't know, maybe you should prioritize the damage here. Not entirely sure, but I wonder if you should just be prioritizing the Sook on the Thousand Eyes to beat in for damage. Because 14 a turn isn't nothing, right? I don't know. A little tough. We'll see if they are able to kind of kill Vive Cristo. Like I was saying, it kind of feels like Decree is what's keeping Stallion in this game. And so you're playing a game where you need to win before Cristo can out the Decree. Unless you just have a second Decree, I guess, right? So you kind of need to be aggressive here, I feel like. And so I don't know if like the cute delaying your attacks to get extra Faith flips on some not so primo targets is kind of worth it. I mean, I guess if you can go for premature on the Sangan, that does maybe increase your turn. It does increase your clock a few turns from now. But like I'm saying, I'm not sure if you can really afford to do that too much. We'll see if it works out, though. This is a really interesting game with lots of really interesting decisions for both players, by the way. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know it's kind of a slog, right? Thousand Eyes Floodgates, Royal Decree Floodgates, dirtily Tsukuyomi flip-flop stuff. But there are some really interesting decision points that I might be kind of agonizing over, but this is the kind of stuff I like to talk about, so I hope you guys are entertained. Stallion gonna pass there, though, setting up for that flip-flop Faith Thousand Eyes play again. Cristo here. Let's see. Just going to draw pass. Okay, so things are working out for Stallion just fine. They can go for that play again. Sook, set the Thousand Eyes, flip the Faith, Faith grab premature, get in for 14. Or you could go premature on the Sangan here to deal an extra 1,000 is maybe the play. Yeah, so we're going to do that. Let's see. Show me, yeah, get in for 24. And then you still have the Thousand Eyes here. Okay, so maybe this is fine. Maybe this is fine. You know what? Yeah, maybe because you can instantly go for this premature on Sangan play, that going for the dirtily flip-flop is worth it. Yeah, maybe that probably is right. Because actually, it increases your clock a lot earlier than I kind of anticipated. Right? Because if you just go shotgun premature immediately to go for this, it's actually fine. And now you have like a 3-turn clock, right? Because next turn you can go Sook, flip down the Thousand Eyes, get in for 24 again. And then you get to pass with lethal on board, with Decree to back it up. So yeah. Yeah, I guess going for that Prima and Sangan play, prioritizing that, was probably the right call. Just to make the clock a little bit stronger, because otherwise you're just dealing 14 a turn, which is significantly slower than 24 a turn at this point. Christo, though, can grab that Sinister, of course, again. They found Pot of Greed. Okay, so get to draw a couple cards. Into Snatch Steal. Okay, so some interesting targets. Do you just snatch the Thousand Eyes and then tribute over it? You do just have 2 Thunder Dragons in hand. And that could be pretty nice. You can go tribute for Thunder Dragon, attack the Faith, for example, and Thunder Dragon is then like a Tsukuyomi-proof monster as well. That seems pretty strong. Yes, we're going to go steal that Thousand Eyes. Over and smartly first, before you go for the tribute summon, you can suck in the Faith. And then go tribute for Thunder Dragon. Tribute set as well, so we don't know for sure it's Thunder Dragon, but 99.999% of the time it is, for sure. And yeah, so I guess this is fine because then you don't have to attack over this Sangan this turn. Right? But I almost would have preferred the clock of just, like, attacking over the Faith. Unless you're just really worried about Snatch Steal. I guess Snatch Steal would probably be game. So maybe, yeah, Snatch Steal would be game, so I guess this is better. You just want to have your set Thousand Eyes. That's probably fine. And FaZe has to discard Serpent to hand size as well. Sure. Stallion here, gonna draw for turn. Has Abyss Soldier. That's pretty nice. Gonna go get in for battle. Attack over that Thunder Dragon. So that's pretty nice, having a big beater. Decree is, you know, one of those cards that I'm iffy about in control deck sometimes, but when you're in a more aggressive deck, running big monsters like Abyss Soldier, it is a lot better, right? So Abyss will kill the Thousand Eyes, Sangan will get in for 1k, you get to pass with lethal on board. It's not fully lethal because Christo does have, like, set Serpent as a play. But no, I guess there is just, like, Tsukuyomi here to actually make it lethal. So yeah, Stallion has lethal on board with Decree to back it up. And Christo might just be super gummed up on traps here. Kind of seems like that's what things are looking like. Christo going to grab the Serpent. Set a monster, set a back row pass. Sure. We'll see if this back row is anything real or if Stallion's just going to be able to win the game here. Heavy Storm just might be enough. You get to trigger your own Sangan, which is pretty nice. And yeah, you hit 2 dead traps here out of Vive Christo, and this has to just be game here, right? Yeah, everything dies. Sangan will trigger, grab Sinister, sure, whatever. And yeah, Christo just sees the writing on the wall. Stallion takes down game 2 in a bit of a slog, but having Decree there to really, really shut off Christo's plays. Chose not to play around it by waiting until their own turn to play a Jar of Greed when it could have been negated by Decree, and that ended up happening. And so, yeah, like I said, Christo playing a little bit sloppy that game, allowing Stallion a way back in, and then they just had a bunch of threats with Tsukuyomi flip-flopping with Magician of Faith and Thousand Eyes to just suck in the board, recur your spells, set a clock, and they take down game 2 there. Christo here seemed like they sided out most of their burn stuff, so I wonder if Stallion will be keeping in those, like, token Thanksgivings and things like that. We'll see exactly how it works, though. Christo is just going to go T-set pass here, add another back row as well. So with this tempo advantage on potentially just pure Chaos Turbo here in game 3, we'll see if they can kind of outpace Stallion's GOAT control list. Stallion will draw for turn. Lead out with a Pot of Greed, so already going up a card. It's quite nice. Into Des Wombat. Okay, so yeah, still keeping in a little bit of the anti-burn stuff. A little bit of will they, won't they there. Looks like Stallion actually maybe incorrectly, quote-unquote, sided into some anti-burn stuff game 1, but still won, right? And you know what? I guess Decree is really good because Decree is good against both burn and Chaos Turbo, right? So by playing that card, you're actually kind of hedging for both game plans out of Vive Christo. And that maybe that's just a major weakness of this kind of Chaos Burn list, is that it doesn't pack the consistency of standard turbo decks that, like, yeah, Decree's good against them, but they can kind of, like, find their MSTs and find their breakers and stuff because they have so much draw power. But because you dilute the turbo consistency, as well as dilute some of the reasons why pure burn doesn't care as much about Decree, like the True Nades and the Beatdown plans, right? You end up just playing two decks. You're mashing up two decks that, in their pure forms, are fine playing through Decree, but together, all the stuff that makes them able to play Decree ends up being what's being cut to play to be able to mash the two styles together, and it ends up just being kind of what won Stallion that game. It seems like. Now, Des Wombat is one of those cards that I do not think works well against both potential strategies out of Chaos Burn. So Stallion here keeping in maybe some extra anti-burn stuff. We'll see if it ends up being correct. It is just a nice 1600 beater, which, when you're trying to get aggressive with your own decrees, is totally fine. Playing around jars here by setting stuff before attacking makes sense. We're going to get Wombat into the set monster, which is just a Dekoichi, so that'll just cycle for a card for Vive Cristo. Get them a Dark Engrave, totally fine. Wombat will stick around to apply pressure. Not the biggest body, but could make things awkward for Cristo if they are on more burn stuff. I guess this would have been really good if Cristo had set a Deskawal, right? Then this play would actually be pretty nice. It is not the case, though. Of course, it was just the Dekoichi, and Cristo maybe can just play a solid Chaos Turbo strategy when you have Deswombat in your deck, which is just an advantage for Turbo, of course. So maybe that's the game plan here. Looks like they drew a Thunder Dragon either for turn or off that Dekoichi, so going to be able to grab a couple copies of that card, go up at least a little bit of card advantage. Ooh, and actually a lot of card advantage because they have the Graceful Charity to combo with it, going up a full card, seeing 3 fresh new cards. Very strong combo there. Putting Cristo, basically equalizing the Pot of Greed advantage that Stallion had. So we're kind of back to parity here. Oh, and ooh, never mind. Discarding Sinister Serpent as well. So this is basically almost like a full +2 off of this Graceful. Because you get to cash in a Dead Thunder Dragon, you get to discard a Sinister Serpent, and now I think Cristo pretty solidly in the lead right about now, especially if they can just deal with this kind of lone Deswombat. Let's see, though. Gonna go set a monster, set 2 more back row. Maybe setting up for a jar. Man, just so much value there. You can see, I mean, this just looks like a Chaos Turbo deck, right? You're just doing turbo things, gaining a bunch of card advantage, and then continuing to threaten the opponent with scary, scary set monsters. Have we seen a single Nobleman of Crossout out of either player this entire match, by the way? I don't think so. Both players getting a little bit unlucky with their set monster interaction. We've seen a lot of Exiled Forces. We've seen a lot of Thousand Eyes Restricts. We've seen a lot of Desert Sunlights, I guess, so maybe when you're playing against Desert Sunlight, you're less likely to just fire off your Nox willy-nilly. But it's just funny that we haven't seen either player resolve that card really at all this game, or this match, I don't think. Stallion here, Wombat is still around, so it is a body at least. They're going to go set a monster and then fire the creature swap, so very well could be like a set Sinister Serpent. We'll see if this resolves, though. Cristo really thinking hard about this one. Let's see. We're going to chain Raigeki Break, discard one of those Thunder Dragons. So, minor win for Stallion, forcing Cristo to use a Raigeki Break without having their Sinister in hand. So they actually have to discard kind of a real card. It's at least just a Thunder Dragon for Cristo, so it's not like a huge loss. But I guess, we going to pop the set monster, or are we going to pop our own monster to just make the creature swap fizzle? We're going to pop the set monster, so swap will resolve, most likely. And Cristo will end up with the Deswombat, which is really interesting. So actually, the players fighting for custody over Deswombat is not something I predicted in this game. But hey, anything can happen. Ooh, and Cristo forced to Raigeki Break a Sangan is massive card advantage for Stallion, even if this creature swap doesn't resolve exactly as they had hoped. And Stallion's still going to get a Gravekeeper Spy. Okay, we haven't seen any spies in their deck, so maybe not having any targets for it. But preventing Cristo from resolving it is a pretty big deal. And also just Raigeki breaking a Sangan feels really, really bad for Vive Cristo. I mean, you'd have to guess it's either like Sangan or Sinister Serpent, right? And so maybe you're saying, okay, either way, this Sangan or Sinister Serpent is going to get beaten over by probably the Deswombat. So it might as well just kill it and end up with the Wombat myself, I guess. So maybe saying, okay, you know what, they're going to get to be able to trigger their Serpent or Sangan no matter what. So I might as well make sure I still have a monster at the end of the day when that happens, is the idea. And honestly, if Cristo did side in or keep in burn cards here in game 3, stealing the Wombat actually could be a big deal. So maybe this could very much depend on what 40 post board Christo landed on, and if they are playing some burn stuff, this actually could be a really strong play. Despite it looking really awkward, the fact that you had to Raigeki break a Sangan, stealing your opponent's Death Wombat could be a big deal. And we'll see exactly how this ends up. Stallion does get access to this Gravekeeper Spy, but probably not exactly what they wanted. They probably were looking for like Magician of Faith to recur their Pot of Greed, right? Even a Dekoichi would probably be better for them than this Spy. And so Christo had to make an awkward play, but it seems like it's actually a pretty good one because of how it ended up. Stallion here. Wait. Oh, yeah. Sangan did trigger off that, by the way, so they will grab a Sinister Serpent. So going up an extra little card there. Just going to pass, though. Spy, of course, cannot flip up this turn thanks to Creature Swap, but it's not like it could get over the Wombat anyway. So Christo made the awkward play, made the tough call, but maybe it kind of seems like it was the right one to me. They get to re-grab their Sinister here. In their standby phase, they have this Death Wombat. They have a dead Spy on Stallion's side of the field. So things are potentially looking kind of good. Let's see what the play is. Ooh, especially if you top deck Pot of Greed. That definitely helps. So going up an extra card here, recuperating some of that lost card advantage from the awkward Raigeki break. And remember, this was a game where they were able to go TD, Graceful, Sinister into pot. So things are looking good. And when you have a bunch of cards, right, you can afford to make weird plays like Raigeki breaking a Sangan. So maybe being fine. Jar of Greed here as well. Could get negated by Royal Decree. Could be. Chose not to use it in the end phase. Let's see if Stallion can punish this. It will resolve, though. Okay, so Christo playing with fire a little bit, but the jar does get to resolve, and now you basically know that Stallion probably doesn't have Decree. Could be a really, really... There is probably a world where Stallion could hold Decree here to go for a bigger blowout later, but you probably just chain it to the jar and don't get cute. Christo is just going to set a monster pass. Could be Sinister Serpent, right? But doesn't have to be. Still no movement of crossouts from either player. It's always funny. Stallion here. In a decent spot. We know they at least have Sinister Serpent in hand. A dead Spy on the board. A Wombat staring them down. Just going to go set the Serpent and fire off a Metamorphosis. Likely to try and steal the set monster. And that's going to be what happens. It'll come over, and it is a second copy of Gravekeeper Spy. So Stallion is doing everything in their power to prevent Gravekeeper Spy from resolving. This is pretty funny. They're just all ending up on Stallion's side of the field. But still, this is just a 0/0 Thousand Eyes that won't be able to make... I mean, I guess you could crash it into the Wombat and then try and steal it next turn. That could be a play. I actually don't hate that. It does run into potential battle traps, but I'm not sure Christo is really playing any of those. Stallion not opting for the crash play, though. I mean, you could always just do it next turn if you really wanted to. Let's see, though. Christo gonna go fire off another Jar of Greed. Okay, sure. I mean, I guess at this point you know that this probably isn't Decree, so this is pretty safe. It's going to resolve. Christo churning through their deck at a rapid pace, by the way. And they're going to go set a monster, set another back row pass. Cool. All right, so Stallion here. Are you going to... You could go for the crash play, suck in the set monster. I guess there is a chance it's just that Sinister Serpent, right? So is it worth it? We're going to get Standby Phase Dust Shoot out of Vive Christo, though. So this could be pretty big. Rip out some good stuff out of Stallion's hand. We see... Okay, so we are playing Nobleman of Crossout in at least one of these two decks. Interesting stuff. Stallion with a pretty monster-heavy hand. They've got another Death Wombat. They got a Magician of Faith with a Pot of Greed Engrave. They got DD Warrior Lady, which is just always good. Tribe Infecting Virus, which is always good. I guess this is... Oh, so Christo probably should have waited for the Serpent to get grabbed before going for the Dust Shoot. But you probably don't send back the Serpent Eater anyway, so it's kind of fine, I guess. What do you really care about? It depends on if you're playing Burn, right? Maybe you just send back the Wombat if you're trying to resolve, like, Just Desserts and things like that. That could just be an easy choice, right? Otherwise, Tribe is kind of annoying because it gives them a way to get out of their Thousand Eyes lock and start applying pressure to you. DD Warrior Lady doesn't really do a whole lot right now, I don't think, so you probably don't need to send that back. If you're worried about a beater, Tribe has more attack anyway, right? You could maybe send back Faith if you don't have an out, because Faith for pot would be pretty annoying. So I could see sending back Faith, Tribe, or Death Wombat, depending on what's in your deck, what's in your hand, and then if you have answers to both of these or don't care about the Wombat, then you probably just send back the Tribe, I guess. So let's see what Christo is sending back the Faith, which I think signifies that they do not have any noblements, right? But I would expect this nobleman from Mexican Stallion to likely come through, especially now that it's known. And yeah, Stallion now can just grab that Serpent back, totally fine. And they're going to go for this Tribe Infecting Virus play, so going to try and break their own Thousand Eyes lock, I guess is the idea. You want to go for this pre-knock, of course, to make Torrential Tribute a little bit worse. Going to pass Prio, though, not going to use it immediately, so playing around potential Torrential there. And then going to go ahead for the Tribe there. Discard that Sinister Serpent that they just got back. And then call Beast, actually, to pop the Wombat. Okay, so just getting a nice little +1 there. Totally fine. And then going to fire off that knock. Ooh, but Vive Cristo does have that Chain Desert Sunlight, like I was saying. And Magician of Faith would go crazy here. Maybe it's just Sinister and you want to save it from the knock, right? So you could just be saying, okay, I'm going to trade my Sunlight for my knock rather than a potentially more valuable monster. Oh, but it is a Faith, though, so we're getting even more value here. Faith is going to be able to get back probably the Graceful Charity when you have the Sinister in hand. That's a really big play there, being able to force through a Faith activation through Nobleman of Crossout. And yeah, gonna grab that Graceful. That is a big win for Vive Cristo. Stallion still has their own Thousand Eyes lock here. They're not gonna be able to suck in this Faith just yet. They already discarded Sinister for turn, so they don't have a free way of breaking their own lock here. And Cristo's likely just gonna be able to resolve another Trinity piece with Sinister in hand and start pull away and card advantage like we've seen in the past. Pretty solid, yeah. Stallion's just gonna have to pass there, waiting to get aggressive, likely until they can get the Sinister back and get the free way of popping their board. But Cristo, in the meantime, just going to be able to resolve this Graceful, discard Serpent, and Death Koala. Okay, so keeping at least in some of the burn stuff is good to know if you're Stallion. Might want to hold on to that Death Wombat then, right? But that's another +1 for Cristo. Kind of a +2, right? Because the Faith is still around, although it's not really worth a full card at the moment. Ooh, we're going to slam down Chaos Sorcerer, though. So Cristo here. I think, is this the first Chaos Mon we've seen out of them all match, by the way? But yeah, Sork is going to come down. Really solid way of dealing with Tribe Infecting Virus or Thousand Eyes. Smartly summoning the Sork in defense so that the crash Thousand Eyes into a monster, suck in the Sork play is not live for Stallion. So you can just safely banish the Tribe here and then threaten to banish the Thousand Eyes next turn. Definitely makes sense. They're going to set a back row, set a monster, pass. Really scary stuff here for Stallion to deal with. Lots of potential threats. You just have this Thousand Eyes to your name with potentially no way of even turning it off if you wanted to. I think Cristo is very solidly pulling ahead here. I think the deal breaker... I mean, they opened amazingly, right? They opened Thunder Dragon, Graceful, Sinister, Pot, basically, in the first two turns. But now, being able to resolve a Desert Sunlight on a Faith to recur their Graceful plus Sinister combo has now, I think, basically sealed this game. And Stallion is just going to be a crazy uphill battle from here to try and really come back at all in this game. They do at least get to regrab that Sinister Serpent, but you know Cristo is running Trap Dust Shoots. So I'm not sure how badly you actually want to go for that play. We'll see. Cristo does not have the Dust Shoot, though, so safe there a little bit. Just going to set a monster pass, but basically saying, all right, my Thousand Eyes is probably not long for this world. It will get banished. And, yeah, things are looking really good for Cristo here. Getting 2 banishes off of Sork is just really, really strong. They have the Sinister here as well to complete the combo with Graceful. Jar of Greed here to draw another card. Into Duo here. Oof, man. Completing the Trinity this late in the game. Just ripping out everything from Stallion's hand. Hits BLS as well, which, to be fair, was not anywhere close to live, but definitely one of Stallion's best potential comeback cards. Stallion is going to discard at least... Oh, actually, okay, so Cristo firing off the Duo when you knew Stallion had this... Well, I guess you didn't know for sure that Stallion had Serpent in hand, because they could have set it. So banking on the opponent having set the Serpent, maybe. And at least now you have the intel that this set is probably real. So if you have Nobleman or something, you're probably just going to fire it off on this set monster right now. So even if it's not a full value duo, you're up so many cards anyway that going 1-for-1 is probably fine, especially because you get the extra intel of whether or not the set is Serpent. So probably worth it in this position. We're going to go Sork Banish the Thousand Eyes. Totally fine. You know that this is just a dead spy set there. Just going to set another monster pass. Not flipping up this, so maybe something fake. I guess it's not Sinister because they just grabbed that into their hand, but it could be like a Sangan or something. Or maybe a Deskawal. You could be setting up for a bigger Deskawal later, potentially. In which case, actually, no, if it's Deskawal, you're going to flip it. You would go Sork Banish, Thousand Eyes, flip Deskawala, and then Dust Shoot. Right, so it's probably not Deskawala either. My guess is it's probably Sangan. Stallion here, going to grab Sinister. Fires off the Graceful, though, so that's a pretty nice top deck. Going to be able to get another +1 here, comboing with their Sinister to get them a little bit further back into this game. So clawing back as best they can. We're going to discard Sinister and a Token Thanksgiving, which I think makes sense. At this point, you can't really afford these like card advantage negative cards when your opponent is just beating you down with a pretty standard Chaos Turbo game plan at this point. We're going to go flip summon DD Warrior Lady, which was known, right? And so this is an out to the Sork if it can get an attack through. So that's not terrible. Let's see. Christo will let that resolve, though. Stallion will take 500 for the trouble, but Sork is finally dealt with. But honestly, you're fine with that, right? Sork got so much value. Sork banished a Thousand Eyes. Sork banished a Tribe-infecting virus. And Sork banished a DD Warrior Lady. So it's a 3-for-1 Sork. Pretty insane. And yes, Christo, I think, still really not sweating this at all. We're going to get normal summon Death Wombat here in main phase 2, which is kind of cute. But I just don't think it's doing enough, right, when you're just getting so heavily outvalued by Christo at this point. Christo here, going to draw for turn. We're going to go normal summon Tribe Infecting Virus. We can go Tribe. Okay, we're actually going to go Tribe Attack the Spy. I guess just in case Stallion is playing extra copies of Spy, you want to force him out of the deck to go for this Tribe play. Stallion is not running any of them, though, so we're just going to go main phase 2. Tribe, discard the Serpent. Call Spellcaster to kill your own Faith, I guess. I guess that's fine. It's a little interesting. Maybe wanting to do this before they flip summon whatever this other monster is, maybe. If it's like a third spy. I guess this could be third spy that's set, right? We've only seen 2 out of Viva Cristo so far this game, and neither have resolved. You should kill your own Faith. All right, yeah, there you go. Okay, thanks for remembering. Stallion here grabbing Serpent. I think you've already checked both of these for Dust Shoot, so that's fine. We're going to go set Serpent, go for the meta play, into Thousand Eyes. We'll see if this resolves. We're going to steal the Tribe. Christo thinking about it, though. We're going to ring on the Thousand Eyes, though. And man, I wonder what this set card is. It's been there for forever. Maybe it's been a Torrential Tribute that's been there for forever. Could be Scapegoat that they've just never had to use. That's actually probably the most likely card that this back row is, right? Especially when you've had like Sinister to go for your metas as well. My read is probably Scapegoat here. There's a non-zero chance that it is Mirror Force. There's a non-zero chance that it's Torrential. But it's probably most likely Scapegoat. But yeah, Mexican Stallion going for the meta into Thousand Eyes, suck the Tribe play, but it getting answered by Ring. Yeah, I think at this point, Vive just has so many cards that they can pretty easily answer most of the stuff you're doing. Stallion kind of forced to use swords here just to stall out a little bit, which is their best road back into this game at this point. It's also will flip up the set. It was a Sangan, yeah, which kind of was expected. I think it really would only ever be Sangan or the third spy, probably. So confirming that it is just the Sangan, totally fine. Then we're going to go to battle phase and have Wombat actually crash with Tribe. That's actually not terrible. But honestly, simplifying the board state here as Christo is, once again, probably okay. You're up a bunch of cards. You're going to be up another card soon when this Swords goes away, right, in 3 turns. So you're still in a pretty comfortable position, all things told. Going to grab that Sinister here as well again, getting tons of value out of the card so far this game. Going to set a monster. Could very well just be that Sinister again. Just kind of got to wait things out. Stallion, yep, grabbing Sinister. Going for Meta the Sinister here again. Christo here choosing whether or not to allow this. It resolves. Ring at Thousand Eyes. Suck that. We know there's no ring to play around here now. So likely that this resolves. But, ooh, grabbing a Dekoichi too. So Christo actually setting a real monster here. But now you've worked through all three metamorphoses out of Stallion though. So that is at least something you don't really have to worry about the rest of the game. And, maybe for that pleasure, you're fine getting your Dekoichi sucked in. Probably not the end of the world. You basically just traded meta for Dekoichi, which is not the end of the world, of course. Christo, second turn of swords. Just going to draw pass. Just wait that card out. Totally fine. Stallion can still re-grab the Sinister, so they are grinding this one out. We'll get main phase 1 MST on the last remaining back row, which was a Desert Sunlight. Okay. Now the back row is clear. And Stallion, do you have something big here? Or are we going to get a little bit of chaos action? Clearing out the back row to potentially go for a big push. We're going to go main phase 1 Scapegoat, actually. That's interesting. Ooh, are we going to deck the opponent out? Is it going to be Scapegoat into Token Thanksgiving, gain a million life, and then deck out Christo, who only has 12 cards left? Is that the play? Yeah, okay. So yeah, going up to 10,700 life points. And Stallion here, you're down a bunch of cards, but going all in on, I guess, the deck out play here. You got Swords and Thousand Eyes as 2 battle floodgates. Only one more turn of Swords left, though. So you're just gonna bank on this Thousand Eyes sticking around and floodgating the opponent out, I guess, is the plan. Okay, so we're all in on this. And you can see, Christo here definitely went for the anti-burn side plan, right? They have their Token Thanksgivings, they have their Death Wombats. I'd have to assume there's decrees in here, even though you probably keep those in anyway. MST as well, which is something that you might not keep in against pure turbo, right? And because they're playing all these suboptimal cards into what's mostly a pure turbo deck post-side, they're reduced down to really only being able to go for this pretty desperate deck out strategy to try and win the game. Now, they have to hold on for 11 turns. They got one more turn left of Swords of Revealing Light. Christo here, just going to draw past. Swords is gone, so that's one floodgate down. And maybe Stallion has some OTK lines, but their BLS is engraved, though. Yeah, with no BLS, you're not really going to be able to kill your opponent, right? So yeah, you just gotta bunker down and try and deck them out. Set a monster pass. Would not be surprised if that's just Serpent. Christo now, not under Swords, so probably the time to make a play if you're going to do it. We're just gonna go T-set pass, though. Alright. Taking their sweet time, but you have a little, you got 10 turns before you have to worry about deck out. Let's see. Stallion gonna set another monster, set a back row pass, so at least one of these 2 cards is Sinister Serpent. And you know what? The shields are up here for Mexican Stallion, right? Christo, you got 10 turns. We're gonna get end phase Ceasefire, flipping up everything. Okay, this could be pretty big. Burn the opponent for a solid amount. Both Sinisters coming through. Faith is gonna get negated. Ooh, and Stallion maybe was going for a little bit of Faith grabs Swords, buy me 3 more turns. Yes, please. But unfortunately, the Ceasefire coming out, actually coming in clutch here for Christo, negating that Faith, and you get to burn the opponent for 5, 10, 15, 20, 2,500 damage. That's actually not too bad. Now, Stallion will only fall down to, 8,200? So they're actually still above their starting life total, but that's actually a really solid chunk out of the Ceasefire, doing massive damage for that card, right? And negating the Faith. That is actually a ton of value there. And it'll start kickstarting, the kind of rush to kill the opponent in 10 turns. So Christo here, now, once again, in a pretty decent spot. Just going to set a monster pass, though. They have Chaos live, but only has played a single Sorcerer, so likely still has one more Sorc and VLS somewhere left in their deck, but maybe hasn't drawn it yet. Another set monster here. I mean, Faith could be really nice. It's kind of funny. The only spells engrave, the only spells they played all game are all Trinity pieces. Feels bad if you're Stallion, right? But all good targets except for Duo. But Some good targets for Faith in the Grave, if that's what this set is. Could be Third Spy. Could be... Is there... Oh, I guess... Yeah, well, I guess you just don't have an out for this Thousand Eyes just yet, right? Stallion found the Tsukuyomi. Okay, so now we can start Suk looping this Thousand Eyes, start sucking in Christo's board, which is actually a pretty solid way of continuing to solve this game out. It'll prevent Christo from being able to fill up their board so that they can go for a big strike when they finally find an out to the Thousand Eyes. And now it's going to be just that much harder for Christo to push through 8,000 damage in the next 9 turns. Ooh, and you can set the Thousand Eyes face down. We can go Sinister, kill the Sinister. We can go Tsukuyomi, kill the Sangan, essentially milling Christo for one more card, making them 1 turn closer to death. They're going to grab Morphing Jar, which is not what you want to have resolve. Oh, and Stallion probably smartly recognizing that 2 of the cards left in Vive Christo's deck are the 2 jars, which do absolutely nothing for them, right? That will likely just kill them, right? Unless you can find like some crazy OTK with Cyberjar, but that seems really unlikely. And so, yeah, there are just no good Sangan targets left in deck. There are 2 just almost near blanks for Crystal left in deck. And maybe this deck out plan is just going to work, right? And you can just go main phase 2, flip summon the Thousand Eyes, turn the set monster off. Maybe this is going to work. Oh yeah, we can go suck in the set monster. It was that Magician of Faith that Christo was trying to resolve, trying to grab some Trinity stuff. But Stallion finding the Suk Thousand Eyes combo here to postpone Christo's plays as well. You really need to find BLS or Sork, otherwise, and soon, right? Otherwise, it's going to be GG and you're just going to get decked out. You got 8,200 life points to deal, right? Sure, you can be up as many cards as you want. Just T-set pass. This isn't enough. Stallion here can go for the same play. Set a monster, though, not going for the Suk play, but, putting up the shields, I think is totally fine. Now, the one sketchy thing is after that play, Stallion's Serpent is still in attack position, which, if BLS comes down, could be a little bit spicy, because that represents a lot of damage with the BLS double attack potentially coming through. We'll see, though. Christo here has a giant Trunade. Okay, so they will get their Magician of Faith back to their hand. Bouncing stuff to potentially play around Royal Decree, which could be nice. No back row here. Are we going to get something big? Were we saving the Trunade for the time we draw BLS? Do we have a real set monster here? We're going to go Mind Control on the new set. I mean, it's not Sinister, it's not Sangan, so it could be something good. Could be another Magician of Faith. It's going to come through. We find Morphing Jar, though. Okay. Yeah, so you're probably not resolving that if you're Vive Christo. And Stallion could very well just go flip Morphing Jar on their own turn and deck Christo out. So is this just game? Is Morphing Jar just going to represent game? You basically need to win this turn, right? Unless you have a knock in hand. We haven't seen a single knock out of Vive Christo. You have 6 cards left in deck. And we haven't seen a single knock. So surely you can knock this jar or something, right? Surely. We're going to snatch the Thousand Eyes. Go for Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon plays. Do we still have a single Thunder Dragon? No, we don't have any Thunder Dragons. So we're going to steal the Thousand Eyes. We're going to go normal summon... No. What's the play? Thousand Eyes suck in the... Okay, so setting up for BLS for a lot of damage. Right? BLS alone here, if you can remove this Thousand Eyes. Can beat over Sinister for 27 plus... So that's 5,700 damage from BLS alone. Now that this Faith and Thousand Eyes are out of the way. So suck it in. We're going to go Slam Sork, banish the Thousand Eyes probably. Yeah. Summon BLS. Flip Dekoichi, maybe, for big damage. Let's see. Oh, and we're going to set everything. Go for Morphing Jar. Try and find the BLS is the idea. Okay. You discard your own Morphing Jar. The Faith that got bounced to hand off the Trunade. 2 cards you don't care about at this point. You hit Scapegoat and Tsukuyomi in your opponent's hand, which are 2 good stall cards as well. So that's actually a decently valuable Morphing Jar. But you've got all your eggs in OTK this turn basket. Please don't tell me BLS is the last card in deck. Please. Please. Okay, slam the BLS. Right. That's 5,700 damage. That's not enough on its own. 5,700. Plus 700 from the Morphing Jar. We got 6,400 damage. You need to do 1,800 more. We need to find 1,800 more. Do we have Breaker? Do we have Breaker for game? We don't have our normal summon left. Breaker is game. Breaker is game. Breaker is game. Well played. There it is. 5,700, 700, 1,900. Oh no, you can't attack with the Morphing Jar. Never mind. Silly me. Breaker is not game. Sorry. I forgot you can't attack with Morphing Jar. What is the set monster? Oh, is that Sinister? Yeah, it's got to be Sinister. It's not enough. But Vive Cristo passing with lethal on board here. 2 Scapegoats gone. A third probably somewhere in the deck. Could be in the hand for Stallion. That was almost lethal if the Morphing Jar could have attacked, of course. But Cristo setting up for lethal on board. Next turn, on their very, very last turn, Stallion just needs to hold on one more turn for this deck out. Trap Dust Shoot here in the draw phase, so they get to play with perfect information. And that's just going to be GG. Stallion has no out for lethal on board here. Yeah, what is their hand? Decree doesn't do anything. Yeah, BLS plus Sork plus whatever is going to be enough. Oof. Well, yeah, going to concede there. Yeah, because you can, like, send back... Yeah, I mean, if you... They have Chaos Live, so bouncing Chaos isn't going to do anything with the Abyss Soldier, right? Cristo could just, like, send back the Exiled Force, which is one of the outs. Jinzo beat over Chaos Sorcerer isn't enough. Set Faith isn't enough. Yeah, and Cristo will just have pure and perfect information. They'll have the Heavy Storm to clear stuff out. Yeah, and Cristo finding the OTK... Lucky, quote-unquote, that BLS was not literally the last card in their deck, but making the really risky but correct call to fire off that mind-controlled Morphing Jar, to find and dig for that BLS, to go for the near OTK, set it for lethal in 2 turns with 1 card left in deck, and they win the game at the very last. What a crazy marathon of a match here. And Stallion, like I was saying here in Game 3, when Cristo... and players are playing this Chaos Burn deck, there's always the will they, won't they, of are they actually going to keep the burn cards in post-side? And Cristo, sure, you keep in like the stapley burn cards like Ring and Ceasefire, that's kind of a no-brainer. And I guess maybe you keep in 1 copy of Death Koala, depending on your 55, right? But almost every time we see them just side completely out of the burn stuff and into almost just pure Chaos Turbo. And both games, Stallion got away with it in Game 2 because Decree just won them the game. But in Game 3, they got stuck with all these suboptimal Death Wombats, these Token Thanksgivings, all stuff like this. They basically because they're playing so many suboptimal cards, they end up in a position where they do not have... They can't compete on card advantage against pure Chaos Turbo, right? Even if Goat Control could kind of do that normally, right? When you're playing all of these anti-burn cards against a non-burn deck, you're just going to lose the card advantage game, so they had to go for this desperate deck-out play, trying to stall out with Swords of Revealing Light, Thousand Eyes Restrict, Scapegoats, all that stuff. And Cristo able to find lethal, getting a little bit lucky, of course, but with BLS not being exactly the last card in their deck, but pretty unlikely that that was the case. But Cristo having essentially, maximum 8, 9, or 10 turns to find lethal in that deck out scenario, and going for a really nice combo there in the end to get the near OTK, set up for lethal on their very last turn, and having the Dust Shoot to make sure that it could go through. And Cristo on Chaos Burn is going to take down this match against Mexican Stallions Goat Control list 2-1. Such an interesting match here for you guys today. I hope you really enjoyed it despite it being an absolute slog. But I mean, this is GOAT format at its finest, right? 2 really interesting advantage-centric decks going head-to-head into a near deck-out situation in Game 3. Stakes could not be higher. Remember, these are 2 top 10 players on the ladder as well, so bragging rights at stake here too. Really cool stuff, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you all next time.